Good afternoon. I guess it's not afternoon. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to boot camp. Coach Jazzy here and our workout plan. So we're gonna do 3 rounds, 50 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest/transition time. We don't need any equipment. If you want to grab like a mat or something you can kneel on for push-ups, feel free to do so. We will need a little bit of space to move back and forth, but if that's not available to you, I'll give you some options instead. So I'm going to go ahead real quick through demos here, and then we'll get right into the warm-up and into the workout. So starting off on the ground, we're going to do plank to pike with a toe tap. So hands and toes. We're going to exhale, tap one toe at a time, opposite hand off the toe. So that's our first movement. Second movement here, we're going to do push-ups, but we are going to add a little bit of a pause here. So about halfway down, I'm definitely going to do these ones from my knees today, but after we're about halfway down, so we're going to go halfway, we're going to pause, and then do the rest of the push-up. So again, pausing for 1 second and back. So that is going to be our second movement. And then for the next two, it's going to be the same thing, just on different legs, but we're going to do around the world lunges. So what that's going to look like here, we're going to start with one leg. We're going to take forward lunge first. We're going to lunge to the side and then back. And then we're going to go straight back into the front. So we're going to do all on one leg, and then the next the next movement will be all on the other leg. So that is movements 3 and 4. And then into our cardio movements, we're going to do a lateral bound. So that one, we're starting off on one foot. We're sinking into our hips, floating over, and we want to stabilize before we jump to the other side. So we're not just moving back and forth. We're jumping, we're pausing, jumping, and pausing. I didn't on that one, but we are pausing, so we want to stabilize there. And then finally, we're going to do some skips. So for this one, if you have the space and want to do a forward skip where you move forward, feel free. If you don't have the space to do that, go ahead and skip in place. So that is going to be our workout for today. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our warm-up. We're going to start with the world's greatest stretch. So we're going to go ahead and come to our space. When we're ready, we're going to interlace our fingers. We're going to grab onto one of our knees, pulling towards our chest. And we're going to exhale, step back into our reverse lunge. Hands coming down on the inside of our front foot. Back leg stays nice and straight. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, opening up towards the ceiling, looking past our hand, thumb is facing behind us. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, plant outside of our front foot. Bring our back foot a little bit closer, pushing our hips up into our hamstring stretch. And let's go ahead and exhale. Bring our feet together. Push the ground away, standing on up. Perfect. I didn't realize my head was going to be cut off there. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So not interlace our fingers, grabbing onto our other knee, pulling towards our chest. And we're going to exhale, step back into our reverse lunge. Hands coming down on the inside of our front foot. Back leg staying nice and straight. And on our next exhale, opening up towards the ceiling, looking past our hand, thumb is facing behind us. And we're going to exhale, plant outside of our front foot. Bring our back foot a little bit closer, pushing our hips up into our hamstring stretch. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, bring our feet together, push the ground away, and stand on up. Beautiful. All right, let's go ahead, do a couple planks to pikes, warm up our arms and our core. So when we're ready, from our hands and toes here, we're going to exhale, pushing our hips up into our down dog or pike position. And once we're here, we can start to pedal our heels. So let's go ahead, push one heel into the ground. We're gonna exhale and switch. Exhale, switch again. We're gonna switch one last time. And then let's go ahead, push both our heels into the ground, poke our head in between our arms. And make our way back to our plank. We're gonna do 3 quick ones coming up. And down, 2 more, up, and back down. And last one coming up. And then we can go ahead and make our way back to our plank. Bring your knees to the ground, and we are ready to rock and roll. So, we are starting off with plank to pike toe tap. Let me take my jacket off here. We are doing 50 seconds of work, 10 seconds of a rest / transition time. I'm gonna get the timer started here in 3, 2, 1, and go. All right, so plank to pike toe tap. Starting off, exhaling as we come up, making sure when we come back to our plank, our hips are in line with our shoulders and our heels. We want to make sure our hips aren't dipping below. That's going to put that pressure on our low back, which is not what we want. We want to use our core and our shoulders here primarily. Also getting our single arm stability here from having one hand on the ground as we tap our other toe. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we're doing a push-up with a pause. One second pause halfway down. 3, 2, 1. So you can either be on your knees or your toes. I'm definitely staying on my knees today. Core is engaged. We're coming down, pausing for 1 second halfway, and then coming right back up. So you can do this one of 2 ways, right? You can do it that way on either your hands or your toes. Sorry, your knees or your toes. Or you can take the eccentric approach if you would like. So starting down, going nice and slow, pausing, blowing yourself and getting back up however you need to. So whichever one of those feels good for you today, go ahead and do that. I'm gonna stick with my knees here. And then we're pausing halfway for at least 1 second. 3, 2, 1. All right. Standing on up, we have around the world lunges. So we're doing 1 leg at a time. 3, 2, 1. So you can start with whichever leg you'd like. We're going to step forward first, off to the side, and then back. And then straight into, again, the same leg. So we're doing the same one. Technically on the reverse lunge, we're using our other leg, but same leg is stepping back. So I have my right leg forward, side, and back. We want to try and move fluidly through those 3. Making sure our knee is over our toe on all of them. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right. Same thing now, other side. So starting other foot. 3, 2, 1. I figured doing 50 seconds worth plus 1 leg at a time, we're going to get a few more in than we would doing 1 leg and then the other leg. But trying to maximize our time here, getting lots of single leg work in. Even with our next one, we're doing lateral bounds, also single leg work. Want to make sure that as we step forward and back, we're on train tracks. So our feet are staying hip width. We're not right in front of each other. It's going to help with balance. 3, 2, 1. All right, up next, lateral bounds. Away. Starting with one leg, hopping to the other leg. 3, 2, 1. That is the wrong language. I should say we are bounding to the other one because hopping would mean that we're using both our feet at the same time. A bound, we jump from one foot and land on the other. So that is the difference if you were ever curious between a hop and a bound. A hop is both your feet move. A bound is one to the other. So there's that. Making sure that it is like we are pulling our rubber band, right? So we're pulling the rubber band, we're sinking into our hips, jumping as far as we can, stabilizing, and then going back to what we came. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. Last but not least, we have skips. Then we're doing that 2 more times. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so you can either skip in place or you can do a forward skip. I know we don't all have a bunch of space. I know if I was at home today, I would be skipping in place. So if you don't have the space, go ahead, just do skip how you normally would. If you would like to move forward, feel free and skip forward. You can even do a lateral skip if you so please. I know that takes a little bit more hand-eye coordination and stability. I know it always takes me a few to do the lateral one, so I'm gonna do the forward ones, keeping our core engaged. 3, 2, 1. All right. 1 round down, 2 to go. Back to the ground, plank to pike toe taps. 3, 2, 1. All right, so hands and toes. And tapping the opposite toe and back. Making sure again, core is engaged. I know it's really easy to look at your feet. I know I'm trying to break myself of the habit because then my neck ends up being curved like this versus that natural flexion that we have in our neck. So really important to make sure that we're trying our best to keep our spine in line. I know it's a little bit difficult. I know I can't see if I'm tapping my toes. 3, 2, 1. All right. Push up with our paws halfway through. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're screwing our hands into the ground. Either, like I said, either you're on your knees or your toes. And we're pausing and back down. So really key here, our back is engaged. Our upper back is nice and flat, so we're squeezing our armpits. That's going to help. The other key here is to make sure that our hands are directly below our shoulders. And as we get to the bottom of our push-up, our hands are at our ribs. Gonna keep, if we're here, our shoulders are gonna shrug up. We wanna keep everything nice and flat here through our back. Using our chest, coming back up. I didn't pause. 3, 2, 1. All right. Around the world lunges are next. 3, 2, 1. All right. Forward, side, and back. So again, really important. Knees forward, chest is forward. Whether we are stepping forward, go to the side, go this way, and then to the side. Right, knees forward, hips are back, pushing through the whole foot back to where we're going. I feel like no matter what angle I go at, it's not the best. Okay. Great job. Three, 2, 1. All right. Same thing, other leg. 3, 2, 1. If you'd like to make these more challenging, you can always add a little pause at the bottom. If you want to sit back, pause. Or you can add a nice little eccentric lowering and or pause. Maybe you step forward, come down, pause, back up. We're nice and slow. Whatever feels good and whatever you need today. So maybe you don't need it as challenging. Do it regularly. Whatever feels good, whatever you need today. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, lateral bounds. We are getting ready. 3, 2, 1. So start with whichever leg you like. We're spring loading, landing. We got to land on our whole foot, gathered into our leg, exploding to the other side. Great job. Oh, almost fell. And again, land on our whole foot. We're absorbing our land. It's just like working on our landing mechanics, which is great if we like to run outside. So we don't want to have that huge impact. We want to land nice and soft, gathering ourselves. 3, 2, 1. All right. Last movement, we have skips. I'm going to skip in place this time. 3, 2, 1. So double tapping here. Knees are getting up as high as we can. But as we do that, our torso is staying tall. So if you notice, as I jump and double tap, I'm not crunching. We shouldn't be trying to get our chest to touch our knee. We want to drive that knee up as tall as we can. So if we act like we have glass right here, we want to break that glass with just our knee. That's going to help us strengthen our lower core as well as our hip flexors. So really good to practice staying nice and tall against our torso. Our hands are coming up, opposite arm, opposite leg. 3, 2, 1. All right. Last round coming on up. Plank to pike toe tap. 3, 2, 1. All right. So hands and toes here. It helps if we exhale as we push ourselves up. It's going to help us engage our core, keep our core nice and tight, as well as help us use our shoulders just a little bit more. Especially if we're starting to get tired, we really use our breath. It can help us be a little bit more explosive. I like my elbows keep cracking. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right, we are done with those. We have push-ups with our paws, and then we're done with upper body. 3, 2, 1. Nice. Burn our hands into the ground, keeping our core engaged. With the core engagement, it's really helpful if you breathe through your straw and zip your core up. I like to imagine that I'm breathing each side of my six-pack together as I exhale. Having that engagement before we start a push-up is going to be key. So having part of our setup right, we're screwing our hands into the ground. We breathe through our straw. We pause halfway. We're right back up. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. Next up, around the world lunges. 3, 2, 1. All right. Forward, side, and back. Really pushing off our whole foot. So giving our whole foot on the ground. We want to feel it. We want to use our whole foot so that way we use not only our quads but our glutes. So pushing through our heel is going to help activate those glutes. So we really want to focus on the heel drive. Because sometimes I find that we tend to use our quads a little bit more. So driving through the heel is going to help with our glute engagement. 3, 2, 1. All right. Last one coming on up. Other leg. 3, 2, 1. All right. Same thing, other leg. And then we have our bounds and skips. And then we're going to do some figure 4 on the ground. So like both of these lunges plus the bounds. Got a lot of glute work going. I'm sure we've spent some time today seated. So it'll help us open up our glutes and our back. Get us ready for the rest of the workday. Great job. Three, 2, 1. All right. Last 2 movements, lateral bounds, and then skips. 3, 2, 1. All right. Sinking into our hip. Landing nice and soft. Try and go as far as we can without losing our balance. I know I lost it on that one, but I stopped focusing. So a lot of this one, focusing again, breathe through our straw, keep our core engaged as we sink back, driving through our whole foot. We want to really explode up. So also that knee drive, just like our skips, is going to come into play. So we have our back leg driving our knee up, landing nice and soft. All right. Oops. 3, 2, 1. I don't know where my balance went. All right. Last movement of the day, skips. And then we're going to be on the ground. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to do forward skips for the last time through. Doing whatever feels good. And keeping our torso tall. So wear the logo proud. Want to squeeze our orange right here. Exhale through our straw. Those are keys there, and then we want to break the glass. So squeezing the orange, breathe through our straw, and we're breaking the glass. So our 3 keys here. Great job. Finishing strong with this movement here. Less than 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And that is going to be it for today's circuit. So go ahead and grab a sip of water if you need it. We're going to be on the ground, on our backs. We're going to do some figure 4. So when we're ready, both our feet flat on the ground. We're going to take one of our ankles, cross it over the opposite knee. And if that tension feels good, you can go ahead and stay there, or you can interlace your fingers, grabbing either in the middle of your hamstring or in front of your shin and pulling your knee towards your chest. Really sawing away our tension. Find that stretch right underneath our glutes. Go ahead and do one more breath here. And as we finish our exhale, we can gently bring both our feet back to the ground. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So other ankle over the opposite knee. And if that tension feels good, go ahead and stay there. Or we can go ahead and interlace our fingers, grabbing in the middle of our hamstring or in front of our shin and pulling our knee towards our chest. Sawing away our tension. And do one more breath. And as we finish our exhale, when we're ready, we can go ahead and gently release, bringing both our feet to the ground. And feel free to stay on the ground, or you can return to a seated, kneeling, or sitting position. That is going to be all the time for today. So hopefully we all feel good after that one. I'm trying to incorporate a little bit more cardio. So hopefully that was enough cardio for us today. But thank y'all for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday, and hopefully I'll see y'all again tomorrow for exercise.